when I was going through all this suicide depression, that was really the only option that I would always go to if I was sad. I was like, okay, I'm sad again. I don't want to live anymore. It was always this back and forth struggle that I dealt with, and I didn't want to talk to anybody about it because I was ashamed. I was a mother. I didn't want my kids taken away. I didn't want them to put me in a psych ward and tie me up, or what you see in the movies. So
Mhm.
I never shared it, and I dealt with it alone. And that is the number one thing that I'm encouraging everybody not to do, because it caught up to me. And when I was 33, I literally almost took my life. But what saved me was I heard something. And I truly believe that that was my guardian angel saying, it's not your time. And now looking back, I'm going to be 50. I was 33. I now see why I was supposed to go through all of that, including that moment of almost taking my life, and starting to value my life. That was when I started appreciating life, was that I wasn't ready to go. I didn't want to break my children. I went to go.
You're listening to the First Class Life Show hosted by Lindsey Vertner, a holistic personal development show for high-achieving leaders who desire to maximize their impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. So grab a drink, grab your notebook, and let's get started. Hey, First Class family. Please be aware that this episode does contain a few audio and/or video technical difficulties that couldn't be corrected without losing the valuable content. We don't strive to be perfect, but we do strive for excellence. And it's most important to us that you are served despite this minor obstacle. Thank you so much for your patience with this episode. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to another episode of the First Class Life Show. And I am so happy to have you here, First Class family, because I know that you have just been out there killing it, maximizing your impact and creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. Now we are back with another phenomenal guest that is going to share with us some of the things that she has been through to help her become the leader she is today. And I've already got a snippet of, some of her stories. So I'm super excited to bring her here and have her drop some of those gems with you. So without further ado, you know how we do. We're going to hop right into the conversation and welcome the lovely Lorrine Patterson. How are you?
Hi, Lindsay. I'm doing fabulous. How are you?
Great, great, great to have you here. Now, I just said I already know some of your story, but I need you to just peel back the curtains and let the First Class family know, who is Lorrine?
So, who am I? That's a question I ask myself every day. But I think I figured it out now. I'll be 50 this year, so I'm excited because I think life starts at 50. For me, it does.
Girl, can we just pause and say kudos for being 50 when you don't look not an ounce over a 50 at all? Like, let me take off a couple decades because that is what you're given, okay?
Yeah, I love bragging that I'm 50 because a lot of people say, you don't look like you're 50. So that's first thing. But really, I am a blessed mother of four boys, four amazing boys. I have two grandsons, and I have finally met the love of my life that I'm married to. We've been married since 2019. And I'm an author. I'm a podcaster. I am a nonprofit CEO and founder. I'm a TV show host on Believe in Your Dreams. And the list goes on and on. I'm dabbling in songwriting. I can possibly be a songwriter. But like for me, a little bit about me is like sky's the limit. Like I've always been motivated, driven to do good in the world. And now that I have these tools, I call it my self-love toolbox, I'm able to do that now. So it's a little bit about me, and I know we'll dive more into my story, but
especially that self-love toolbox, okay? Like, we want to know some of those tools that are in that toolbox.
yeah.
Now, the first time I found out you had two grandsons, I was thinking in my head, no, she don't. But now it all makes sense. You said you're about to be 50 and you have two grandsons. Let me tell y'all, family, for those of you that are not watching the video of this show and you're just listening to the audio, let me reiterate. She looks beautiful and does not look like she's about to turn 50 and does not look like she has 2 grandsons. Okay.
Thank you, Lindsey. You're kind.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Now, I know that there are some obstacles that you have overcome to become the love leader that you are today. And so just kind of take us back into where that all started. Like, what was the root that made you transform into who you are?
Yeah, when I was young, my parents were divorced when I was young, and I grew up in a home that was divided. So my siblings and I were divided. My parents were divorced, and the home was full of chaos. My dad was physically abusive. My mom was mentally abusive. So I grew up in a home basically without love. And when I was 16 years old, I had my first thoughts of suicide, where I wanted to take my life because I thought, if this is the world that I'm going to live in for the rest of my life, I don't want to be alive, and I don't know where those thoughts were coming from because I was so young. So what I did was run away. I thought running away was going to make my mom miss me, or, I would come back home and she would be loving towards me, but that didn't happen. And, I kind of ran away with a boy that I ended up marrying at the age of 17. And my mom basically had to give me away. And so this kind of spiraled me into the whole self-love journey that it took me about 29 years to figure out, because I was in multiple relationships. I was married 3 times before I finally figured it out. The second and third husband are a huge part of my journey of how I had to figure out how to finally love myself at the age of 42. So these relationships kind of helped me along the way, but it was really hard because I was growing, I was basically growing up on my own. I didn't have a support system. I had my first son when I was 18. I was trying to become a mother. I was trying to be a wife to this man that I married, that actually I went into 9 more years of abuse with this man. And I thought this was going to be my escape from that sadness, but it just put me into more depression being married to him. I had 2 amazing boys with him, but that was pretty much all that we had. We didn't have a good marriage at all. It was full of lies and cheating, and he was doing things that were not good for the law. That caught up to him. He went to prison. I had to take care of all these things on my own when he was gone, but it also helped me build up that strength, the strength to finally get away from this abuse. But that didn't help me figure out the self-love part. I still kind of was searching for love, basically like the song, looking for love in all the wrong places. So I would always look for love in a man. And I would always think that I would have to give my body to men to make them love me. And so I had no self-worth, none, 0. I had no value for my body. I just gave it freely to whoever, wanted to be with me. And I thought, oh, this man will be the one that I'm going to be with. And it was basically just changing faces, but it was the same type of man that I was attracted to.
Yeah.
And I married a second time. And because I carried a lot of the trauma from the first marriage, I didn't go to therapy. Therapy was unheard of back then for me. And I carried that into my second marriage. So we were only married for 6 years before I fell out of love. I always felt trapped in these relationships. And even though I wanted to be in them in the beginning, I still felt like I wanted to be free. It was a weird kind of transition and journey I was going through. And all I was really searching for was love, but I didn't realize it was love within me that I needed to find. And that's when I met my third husband, who I call my rock bottom relationship, because I really had to forgive him for what he did. And it's all written in a book I wrote in 2020 that was released in 2021. But basically, he had this fantasy I didn't know about until after we married. And when I became a part of this fantasy, I lost myself. like completely. I mean, looking at yourself in the mirror and just seeing nobody, that was when I knew I had to take the steps to figure it out.
You said looking at yourself in the mirror and you're seeing nobody. That is big. That is really big. And I know this is a show for leaders, but I believe that there are some leaders that are listening right now that can relate to that, because although they have all the achievements, or they're doing great things in their family or in their friends or with their profession or careers and things like that, they get home and they don't have that self-love, and it's all a facade. And so that's why I love this show, and that we can talk about all of the things, because we are humans at the end of the day. We're humans that go through things. We go through ups and downs. We have struggles. Sometimes we don't feel confident like we portray when we're walking into that board meeting, or when we're walking across that stage, or when we're just going to the grocery store, And so it's important that we dive into all of these topics. And so you mentioned, that you didn't recognize that this is not what you needed. This is not what you wanted. You weren't loving yourself. And I want to point out that as leaders, it's important that we reflect back on our childhood experiences and the things that we've gone through as adolescents, because oftentimes those experiences show up in our behaviors today as adults. And we might not think that they do, but subconsciously they affect how we show up in relationships. They affect how we show up in our careers. They impact us at a subconscious level. So for you, what was that moment that you started to realize, like, wait a minute, that I don't have to put up with this at all?
Are you loving the First Class Life Show? Then join our private Patreon community. Not only will you help to support our ability to provide you with great content, but you can also get exclusive perks like bonus videos and resources, discounts, episode transcripts, and more. So what are you waiting for? Join today at patreon.com/First Class Life. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com/First Class Life.
That moment, Lindsey, really happened when I was 33. And once again, I write about all of this in my books. If you want to check out the book, it does have all of this in detail. But I wanted to take my life at 33. So the severe depression when I was 16 and that feeling of suicide caught up to me. And when I was 33, I almost took my life. And it was over a guy that I was depressed about again. So when I was going through all this suicide depression, that was really the only option that I would always go to if I was sad. I was like, okay, I'm sad again. I don't want to live anymore. It was always this back and forth struggle that I dealt with. And I didn't want to talk to anybody about it because I was ashamed. I was a mother. I didn't want my kids taken away. I didn't want them to put me in a psych ward and tie me up, or, what you see in the movies. So I never shared it. And I dealt with it alone. And that is the number one thing that I'm encouraging everybody not to do, because it caught up to me. And when I was 33, I literally almost took my life. But what saved me was I heard something. And I truly believe that that was my guardian angel saying, it's not your time. And now looking back, I'm going to be 50. I was 33. I now see why I was supposed to go through all of that, including that moment of almost taking my life and starting to value my life. That was when I started appreciating life, was that I wasn't ready to go. I didn't want to break my children. I went to go see a therapist recently, and she told me this that I will never forget. And she said, if you take your life, you will break your children. And I didn't want broken children because I was a broken child. And I wanted to stop that generational cycle of abuse. And I stopped it with my boys. I didn't want them to go through what I went through. So I made a conscious decision to finally get that out of my system, that will never be an option ever in my life, to take my life, because my life is precious. My life is valuable. My children need me. And that was when I started going to therapy. That was really the moment I started working on that part of my life. But I still struggle with the love.
It takes time. It's a lifelong journey, really. Yeah. And if you haven't had the love to start with anyway, then not only do you have to learn and grow into that piece of you, but you have to erase and re-record everything, potentially decades of not having any love.
Yes.
Right?
And you said it right, Lindsey, by the erasing, because I was programmed as a young child, like what I thought love was. So I think that's what I was looking for, but I didn't know that I had to start with me first. I had to love me first. Nobody ever taught me that. Nobody teaches you self-love, so it's kind of like, what's self-love? I had to look it up on Google. I'm like, what does that mean? Take care of myself? Really? I take care of, I take care of others before I take care of me. There's no way I'm going to take care of me.
Right?
Those were my thoughts.
I love that you share that. And, in thinking about it, that's why it's so important that we do identify these things, especially as leaders, because we are either going to repeat a cycle, whether we intentionally mean to or not, or we're going to make the conscious choice to end a cycle and start something healthier for not only ourselves, but for everybody that's connected to us. And that's what I encourage everyone to do, because it's tied to your impact, and you're listening to this show so you can maximize your impact, and this is a part of it. Self-care doesn't always look pretty. Self-love doesn't always look pretty, and so we have to address the ugly side of these things and know, like, we're more than just these pretty social media photos or these nice outfits and things like that. You got to take all that away and get to the root of the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So you said that the therapy piece, that was kind of what started you. Well, not kind of, but that is what started you on that area. At what point did you start to get to that self-love journey?
That was when I was in my 40s, 42, actually, to be exact. And I remember this because that was my third marriage. I was only married to this man for 6 months because, like I mentioned earlier, he had this fantasy that I became a part of. And I thought it was going to be just a one-time thing. This is something that he wants. I'm going to do this because I was always the type of girl that, once again, would not take care of myself, but I always wanted to please the other person. I wanted to make sure that person was happy, and I would sacrifice my own happiness to make him happy. Mm-hmm. And he helped me with this. Now I know that, but back then I didn't. And when this fantasy started becoming a lifestyle where he wanted to do this all the time, that was when my body was no longer my own, that he took full control of my body. And I wasn't going to have that anymore, because what happened was I started going back to that suicide feeling. Mm-hmm. And I told myself I was never going to do that. So I knew in that moment I had to start loving me. And that was after 29 years of not doing that for myself. This man helped me figure that out, because I feel like the universe dropped this in my lap and said, you are going to learn this lesson. Because I truly believe I was given all these tests throughout my life. But I wasn't like passing. I was failing. I was literally failing every single exam. And finally, this was the big one, right? This was the one that the universe was like, you're going to get this in your lap. And if you don't figure this out, I don't know what to do with you. But I did. I woke up, Lindsey. It was like the light bulb turned on. Nobody helped me out with this. This was something I kept to myself because I was so ashamed of what I was doing with this man. And I didn't talk to anybody. I just knew that, like I said, looking in the mirror at a hollow person, I didn't want to be that soulless person. I wanted happiness. I wanted the love that I deserved. This was my husband. He's supposed to protect me. Why is he doing this to me? And so I finally figured it out. I got away from him. I moved to a beach town. The beach has always been healing for me. The salt water it massages my soul. And I healed here for a year. I didn't know anybody, Lindsey. I just moved to this beach town. I was like, I'm just going to move. I'm going to get out of here. I need to fix my mind, my body, and my soul. And I did that. And that's where I did it, was at that beach town that I moved to for a year. And I started practicing my positive affirmations more. I started dating myself. I took myself out to dinners. I took myself out to small little getaways. You know, I rented a nice hotel. I bought myself ice cream. I went to go watch the sunsets. I mean, I cried at a lot of sunsets. I cried at the beach a lot. I yelled at the beach. I yelled at the ocean. You know, it was like I was releasing and purging all of this 29-year long journey of not loving myself. And that's when I figured it out. That's when I figured out that self-love is key to my mental health. And now that I found it, I will never, ever give up those practices. Like that is something that every single morning I take care of me first, at least for an hour and a half sometimes, depending. But it's always something first thing in the morning. It's the first thing I do is read a positive. Nothing. I don't check my phone. I don't do anything else but read something positive as soon as I open my eyes. That's part of my self-love tools.
Listen, you were already sharing them because we was definitely going to ask, okay? Share some of those tools with us. So what would you say to the leader that's listening right now that is struggling to find that self-love? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, and you know, what I wanted to mention too is that my career, Lindsey, has always been stellar. Like I've always had this amazing career. I've always been blessed with amazing jobs, management jobs, you know, everything that I wanted in my career, I achieved. But that love life part was always struggling. And I think a lot of people actually go through that. And I even met men that were jealous of my career because I was so successful. So that was something else I had to put into the self-love toolbox. So what I do every morning is, like I said, I read my positive affirmations. And then, of course, I have this routine. I love making my husband coffee. He loves my coffee. It's just a Ninja coffee maker. It's not like anything special. It's just drip coffee. But that's part of my morning routine because I love doing that for him. And then when he leaves and the kids are gone, I do my meditation. So I meditate. I love guided meditations, and I meditate for about 20 to 25 minutes. And then after that, I pull angel cards. So I call it meeting with my angel team. So I meet with my angel team in the morning for about 10 minutes. And then I discovered a beautiful practice called Nature and Buddhism in the 90s. If you've seen that movie, What's Love Got to Do with It? It's the same thing that Tina Turner practices in that movie. I practice that to this day. And that's part of my morning routine. So I do my prayer for about 15, 20 minutes. And then after that, I probably look in my backyard is a beautiful backyard. I have a lot of birds and I incorporate that now. I open up my door and I listen to all the songbirds singing. And then after that, I'm ready to work. Because I've like cleaned my soul in the morning. I've woken up my spirit. I'm grounded. I'm ready to take on the world. And also when you incorporate these self-love tools in the morning, first thing in the morning, it helps you when you come across something that's a problem, or when somebody hurts you or something happens throughout your day, you're able to go back to that feeling of first thing in the morning of when you grounded yourself. And I always send people love. So I'm all about love because I'm somebody that never had it. So now I just send it out to the world as much as I can.
Yes. And I'm sure it sets the tone and the pace for the day.
Yes.
Because I'm sure everybody can relate to a day where it was like you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. You missed your alarm. Then you're rushing. You stub your toe as you're getting out the bed. And it's like thing after thing after thing after thing. And the next thing you know, it's nighttime. And you're like, I had a horrible day.
Yes.
Did you have a horrible day, or did you have a horrible 5 minutes that you let drag on throughout the whole day, which fed into, other things happening? And you have to really be intentional about saying, okay, I'm going to clear my mind.
Yes.
I'm gonna lead with love. I'm gonna be happy. And then when you have those moments that may cause you to lose your happiness or your sense of joy or whatever it is, you can catch it a lot faster and begin to, change the trajectory of where the mood and the emotion is going. Like, okay, I just stubbed my toe. Oh, it really hurt, but I'm gonna take a deep breath.
Yes.
I'm gonna give it a moment to kind of settle down the tingling. and then I'm going to keep going. I'm going to
Yeah.
open up and listen to the birds sing one more time.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to find my joy again and keep it going.
Yeah. And even Lindsey, like if you don't have an hour like I do in the morning, I wake up super early to do all of this, by the way, because I have to start work at a certain time. But if you don't have that time, at least do 5 or 10 minutes. Even if you're just starting out, just do 5 minutes, or it's better first thing in the morning. But if you don't have the morning, then do it sometime during the day. But it's best to do it first thing in the morning because, like Lindsey said, it sets the trajectory for your day. It's going to set the tone and the mood for your own mood too, most importantly, throughout the day. Because I literally go throughout my day. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I do go throughout my day kind of like, okay, that happened. Well, that needed to happen. Moving on. It's like I'm so calm in my spirit. It's just like, okay, it's just like floating through your day, and the day happens and things happen and you get stuff done and then you move on.
Yeah.
Doesn't it sound beautiful?
Very beautiful. Like it makes me just want to make the birds right now.
Just run outside like the Song of Music, running through the fields.
Now, I want to touch back on something that you mentioned earlier about, you were failing the test because you weren't learning the lessons. And I think that's something else that is important to point out because sometimes we do end up in these cycles because we aren't learning the lessons. And the analogy that I like to use for that is like video games. When you're on level 1 of a video game, there's so many different tools you have to collect or achievements you have to unlock to move to the next level. And if you don't do that certain amount of things, then you don't move on to level 2 of the game.
Yeah.
And then once you get to level 2, usually the things that you learned in level 1 help you in level 2 and help you get to level 3. And so if you aren't learning those things, collecting those tools, unlocking those achievements, and whatever they may be in life terms, then you keep repeating the cycle. Even if the characters change or the players in the game change, you repeat the same level over and over until you learn what you need to learn to move on to the next level.
Right. Yep. Reminds me of Pac-Man. I love Pac-Man.
Oftentimes we want the cheat code so we can just go from level 1 to level 10. Then we get to level 10 and we drop the ball because we don't know how to handle it because we haven't learned all the things and collected all the tools that we need to succeed at level 10.
Right.
Looking for amazing products to help boost your first-class lifestyle? Then head over to firstclasslifeshop.com, where you can treat yourself to personal development books and workbooks, lifestyle affirmation cards, adult coloring books, mugs, notebooks, hoodies, t-shirts, leggings, and more. All products were designed to help you master your mindset, walk in your purpose, and live your first-class life because you deserve it. So treat yourself today at firstclasslifeshop.com. Again, that's firstclasslifeshop.com.
So I think that this would be a great time to play a little game that I like to call First Class Favorites. Okay.
Yay.
So let me pull out my timer. And it's really easy. All right. All you have to do is fill in the blank. I'm going to say, what's your favorite ... And you fill in the blank with your favorite ... Easy enough, right?
I love games. Let's go.
Yes. But you have to get them answered in 10 seconds or less.
Okay. Got it.
And if you miss the buzzer, we like to have fun here in the First Class family. So if you miss the buzzer, then everybody listening, they have to have a consequence if you miss the buzzer. So what will the consequence be today? Maybe it's a shot. Maybe it's an extra push-up or an extra jumping jack or something. I'll let you pick the consequence. What's their consequence if you miss the buzzer today?
I think push-up would be good.
Okay, everybody's got to do a push-up if she misses the buzzer. So we'll start with something easy, and we'll go with, what's your favorite season of the year? Go.
Fall.
Nice and easy. What do you like about fall?
The leaves.
The leaves. Yeah, it can look very pretty, especially here in the Midwest where I'm located. It can look very pretty in the fall because everything's turning orange and it's just got this nice amber glow. Like it's like sitting by the fire, except the fire is nature minus the actual
And
fire.
I love fall. I like fall clothes, fall colors, like the colors in the clothes that you wear, because I change my clothes throughout the season.
What is your favorite drink? Go.
Water.
Water. Okay, outside of water, what would you pick?
Oh, you mean like an alcoholic beverage?
It can be whatever you like. Hashtag no judgment zone. Party or no party.
I love my new favorite drink is this spicy vodka with a splash of nectar and a little bit of timon on top. It's like a spicy pepper.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I'm not a big fan of like spicy drinks. I'm a sweet girl. I want everything to be sweet. I like my cocktails sweet. I like my tea sweet. I like my lemonade sweet with some sour.
But this is sweet and spicy, Lindsey. It actually has a sweet but spicy twist. It's really good. It's delicious.
You have to share that recipe, okay?
I'll take a picture and send it to you.
Yes. Oh, and if you are a part of our Patreon family, First Class family, then we will share this recipe in our Patreon community, okay? So if you are not a part of our Patreon community, then make sure you click the link and subscribe because you can get bonus footage, you can get bonus resources and all kinds of things, all right? So back to the game. What is your favorite song, title, and artist? Go.
Oh, wow. Song, title, and artist. Oh, gosh. I Want to Dance with Somebody, Whitney Houston.
Oh, okay. You had 2 seconds to spare. I thought you was going to get the buzzer. Don't have us doing push-ups out here.
No push-ups.
What's your favorite book, title, and author?
Oh, A Heartology by Lorrine Patterson.
Nice and easy. What is your favorite activity to do to relax outside of like your routine in the morning?
To be last or laugh?
Relaxed.
Oh, relaxed. Swing in my backyard patio chair.
Oh, nice. And then where's your favorite place to travel? Somewhere specifically, go.
Maui.
Okay. I have not been to Hawaii at all.
Lindsey,
I have not traveled. Yeah,
it's amazing. If you can get one of the timeshare deals, then you can get the place and the rental car all in one package, and it's really cheap.
Oh, okay.
All you have to do is attend a timeshare, which it only takes an hour out of your time, but it's worth it. I recommend it.
Now you're sounding like those hagglers whenever I'm getting off the plane at the airport. Like, hey, miss.
Yeah.
Every time I've thought about going to Hawaii, like something else ends up trumping it in the end. Yeah, so
it's such a beautiful island. I was raised there. So I was raised there until I was 3 months old till I was 12.
Oh, nice. Okay. What's your favorite movie? Go.
Oh my gosh, The Notebook.
Oh, The Notebook. I feel like everything is like sweet and serene with you.
I love The Notebook. Like that letter that she reads when she finally gets all her letters. That one quote. I put that quote on my vision board, and that's the kind of guy I wanted. I always dreamed of a Noah.
Well, listen, we might as well do one more. What's your favorite quote? Go.
Oh my gosh. I have no need to worry. The universe always takes care of me.
Okay, you got it. You got it with this time. I have no need to worry. The universe always takes care of me. I love that. It reminds me of like, that saying that I'll sometimes say is that if you worry, why pray? If you pray, why worry?
Yep.
So, thank you for playing First Class Favorites.
That was fun.
I know, right? We got to have a little fun on the First Class Live show, especially because we talk about some deep stuff. So bring up the mood. Listen, first class family, make sure that you are for real a member of our Patreon community, because one of the perks of being in our private community is that you get access to the first class favorite things playlist. Is like ongoing. Okay, so it is uniquely curated by all of our phenomenal guests here on the First Class Life show, and you have your First Class Life reading list, your song playlist if you prefer music over books. And because we're all about self-care, I can't talk, self-care, then your relaxing activities. And, we love to travel the world and experience new things. So places to travel. So you can get all four of those lists right in our Patreon community. So make sure that you are subscribed to that piece and enjoy those extra first class family benefits. All right. So let's hop back into this conversation. I know we've already been talking about those self-love tools that we can use, breaking those cycles, just those cycles of abuse. But first we have to identify them, and then being willing to learn the lesson and heal them so that we can move on and step into who we're meant to be as leaders. So my question for you is, it's going to be in regards to what factor you resonate with the most. Now, before you answer that, let me share with First Class Family, if you are unfamiliar with what First Class Life really means, then make sure that you do one of two things. Either go to firstclasslifeshop.com and purchase the book, First Class Life, 10 Key Factors to Create a Life Full of Love, or not love. See, look, now your love is spilling all over me. To create a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. Or go listen to the very first episode of the First Class Life show, where you can find out what First Class Life stands for, because it's an acronym of all of the different characteristics and skills that you want to embody into your lifestyle to create a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness, and really, truly, deeply maximize your impact. So, lovely Lauren, tell us, which key factor of First Class Life do you resonate with the most?
Oh my gosh, Lindsey, that's hard because they all resonate with me. But I think without this one factor, you really can't live a life that I want to live. So I would say thankful.
Mm-hmm. And why did you pick thankful?
Because I was somebody that never appreciated life, or never really looked around me and realized how many blessings I have in my life, that I'm still alive and breathing. And so that gratitude of life is so profound now. And I would never, ever take that for granted. So just the breath that I breathe, I'm just grateful to just breathe, like breath, just breathing that clean air. So I just live a life in gratitude, not just love, but also full of gratitude, because those two kind of go together. They're like married.
Yes, to be honest, I thought you were going to say self-worth, because we've been talking a lot about self-love.
I almost did. But then I said, you know what? No, because you can have self-worth, but without gratitude, how could you feel your self-worth? So I just think gratitude kind of is at the top for me.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And for the record, all of them are important, and you want to embody as many as possible. But see, you got to keep us on our toes a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know that I am thankful for the journey that you've been on, because you really, once you started your self-love journey, you took it and turned it into your purpose. And tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the work that you do as a leader in today's world with your special nonprofit.
Yes, thank you. I love talking about this. So when I wrote my book, Freeing Your Heart for Love, in 2020, I honestly didn't even know I was going to be an author. Like writing for me has always been hard. And this book just kind of dropped in my lap. It was like I was ready. Something was telling me, you're ready to tell your story. And I didn't even know at that time I was going to write a story. I just opened up my computer and I started typing. And within 4 or 5 months, I finished my book, and I published it in April of 2021. And after that book was published, I knew that I wanted to help more people, but I didn't know how I was going to do that. I knew that I wanted to post on social media. I love posting quotes. I love reaching out to people and just sending them love. But then I thought, I'm going to go join a nonprofit. I want to go be on the board because I really thought I can go join like a mental health organization. Well, when I tried to join these organizations, nobody was reaching out to me. Like nobody seemed interested. I had this, this amazing book I wanted to donate. It was about mental health and overcoming, and nobody seemed interested. So I attended a summit and I call this lady like my nonprofit angel that floated in, because I've never talked to this lady ever again. It was one time we attended a summit together and she said, God told me to reach out to you. And we talked, and Lindsey, I was crying. I mean, it was the ugly cry when I was talking to this lady. And I don't know why I was crying, but she told me one thing that just opened up the floodgates. And she said, your story is amazing and you're going to help so many people and you need to do your own thing. She said, why are you trying to go be with these other organizations? You could just start your own nonprofit. That's what she said to me. I was like, you know what? I think I can. I was like, wow, but how am I going to do that? Right? Because I'm like, I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a CEO. I've never started a company. I reached out to somebody on Facebook because she was looking for podcast guests to be on a nonprofit show. I said, you know what? I don't have a nonprofit. Can you help me start my nonprofit? And this lady, her name is Sandra Cheney. I give her a big shout out because she has helped me tremendously. She helped me from start to the 501c3 process. And I got approved with my 501c3 in February of this year. Nice. So we launched the nonprofit in January of this year. It's called Show Up and Love. And it's to help teenage girls challenged with abuse and depression practice self-love. It's a 30-day self-love program, free self-love program for anybody in the state of California. So that's how it was birthed. And so many other things that I did, but I'm really proud of this nonprofit because I never in a million years thought, not only just an author, but I'm the CEO and founder of a 501c3 nonprofit. And when I talk to people about this, they're like, wow, how did you do your 501c3? I'm like, I just did it. I knew that I wanted to help the youth, especially that 16-year-old girl, which is why I'm helping the teenage girls right now. I eventually want to branch out to everybody, but right now it's just me, party of one, teaching the program. So it's really focused in on the teenage girls because I was that teenage girl that didn't have support. So now I have all these tools and I want to help that young girl that may be going through what I went through as a teenager. So that's the nonprofit.
That is amazing. And that's why it's so important that we do everything that we can to increase our self-love, because it affects how we show up in the world, and it impacts the impact that we're meant to make, that we're purposed to make. And I can only imagine, like, if you hadn't had gone through your journey and learned the lessons that you need to learn, all of these teenage girls that you're meant to serve wouldn't be getting served right now.
Exactly. Yep. And that is, you hit it on the nail there, because that is what I learned. The biggest lesson was, oh, that's why I had to go through all that, because I used to play victim mode all the time. I was always in victim mode. But then now I know I was supposed to go through all of that because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing now. And you're right, if I didn't go through all of that, I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't have the experience. I wouldn't have the knowledge. I wouldn't have all the self-love tools that I've done over the years and all the bad relationships that I can talk about.
Listen, I've got some of those as well in my past. Okay.
I think we all do.
Thank you so much for sharing just how you serve the world. Now, if people want to get in contact with you, how can they do that? How can they reach out to you? How can, they reach out to the nonprofit if they want to donate or just connect, or, just share us all the ways that you can be found on these internet streets.
Yeah, so the best platform I absolutely love is Instagram. So my handle on Instagram is @writing is my kismet. Kismet. If you go to that main Instagram platform, it'll put you to all the other platforms and all the other things I'm doing. It has the nonprofit link on there. It has the new book that I just launched, that all the proceeds will go back to the nonprofit. You can donate there. But yeah, that's the best place, is at Writing is My Kismet on Instagram.
Nice. And we will have that link in the show notes. So make sure you check it out, and her bio and all of that good stuff. So listen, this has just been amazing. And it is so important to discuss as we are growing and maximizing our impact as leaders. Is there any final advice that you want to share with the First Class family?
Yeah, you know what I always love to share is never give up on you, never give up on love.
So sweet and simple. Never give up on you, never give up on love.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lauren. And thank you, First Class family, for tuning in yet again for another episode of the First Class Life Show. We know that you can be doing anything in the world, but you are here with us, and we do not take that lightly. We are very grateful. So continue to go out there and be the high achieving leader that you are. And remember to always maximize your impact and create a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness, because you deserve it. Bye.
Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. But please be sure to subscribe to the First Class Life Show. And don't forget to rate, leave a review, and join our private community so that we can continue to provide you with great personal development conversations to help you maximize your impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. You deserve it.